Hi, I'm Dan Milano. I'm the co-creator, co-EP, and writer on Greg the Bunny. I also play Greg and Warren, and I'm welcoming you to the Greg the Bunny DVD, which is another in a series of dreams come true. So great to be doing this. Thanks to the fans for asking for it and for Fox for facilitating. I am joined today by some of the department heads that have worked with us on the pilot, and we have
Howard Parr, the music supervisor.
Brad Elliott, the prop master.
Jim Dultz, the production designer.
I think, obviously, every show needs to thank its cast and crew. It wouldn't be possible without them, but especially in our case, besides the creatives who wrote this stuff up and the actors who brought the characters to life, it was a show that relied heavily on the technical aspects and the set design, the musical tone, to create what was essentially kind of a live-action cartoon.
Oh, man. It's not like in the movies at all.
And just a brief history of Greg the Bunny. The character was created by Spencer Shenoy, Sean Baker, and myself for public access, and then went on to the Independent Film Channel, thanks to Gil Holland, Kevin Shenoy, and Allison Bork. And from there, was shopped around Hollywood. We were looking for a place to sell out. Although ideally the show was conceived for cable as sort of a Larry Sanders or Curb Your Enthusiasm type single-camera improv show. It was very hard for us to resist when Neil Moritz made a deal with us and found Stephen Levitan, who had produced and created Just Shoot Me. And Steve had a deal with Fox that guaranteed us 13 episodes, and that was difficult to sneeze at, so we signed up. And the result was a network sitcom based on our independent short films. And it brought about a bit of a tonal mix. You know, there were definitely sacrifices and compromises, but ultimately the final product is up to subjective opinion and was a blast to make. And I'm very proud to have been a part of it.
Whoa. Oh, Jimmy. Oh, this is great, son. I'm so glad to hear you're finally taking some initiative. Oh, I knew you had it in you.
So, guys, you might want to talk a little bit about, I know, Brad and Jim, you come from the Muppets. And had you ever done a show, though, quite like this before? How does it compare?
Well, I mean, I've done lots of puppet shows, and this is actually similar in some ways, in that having puppets and humans together. This was pretty edgy, certainly edgier than the puppets, which was great. And we had our own learning curve because in this case there were so many humans and less puppets, and so the integration was different technically.
It was like if all the guest stars on The Muppet Show appeared on the same day.
Exactly, because the puppeteers work on the stage floor, and then there are platforms for the humans. So this was all about platforms for humans with holes in the platforms, and on the Muppets, it was about working without floors entirely and hiding the puppeteers.
You can count on my interest.
Just watch as I rub these balloons on my fur, rubby-dub-dub, and...
There was also a lot of learning that had to happen for camera and for grips, because none of the people that were working on this show, this pilot specifically, had worked with puppets before for the most part, and it's really, really tricky. I call it working with quadriplegic babies. Because puppets can't do anything for themselves. You have to do it all for them.
Laugh it up, Rachi. I may not be able to remember the drive over here, but at least I can get my lines right.
Ooh. So right there, yes, we're looking at a puppeteer standing fully erect, which is perhaps too personal, but with his feet through the floor, framed next to a human standing on a platform floor.
All right, here we go. Let's go. Roll cameras.
Static electricity sketch, take 2.
Action.
Can static electricity be used to light up a Christmas man? Christmas girl?
Obviously, the show was about the two worlds of Greg the Bunny, the on-set world and the behind-the-scenes world. Jim, I don't know if you have any comment on the design.
Well, I do. I started in the film industry when I was 20, and so I decided that I wanted this place to have an old Hollywood feel. I mean, it's definitely set today, but it would be a big studio that was good once, and now it's in disrepair. So all of the studio itself looked like Universal Studios looked like all the studios looked before they just, in the last 10 years, redid them. And then the world of Sweetknuckle Junction, I wanted to be a really stupid, flat cartoon world. And I actually hired my Muppet illustrator, Juliana Parr, to do the original illustration. I had done some photo collage, but she made it really great.
I believe
and
this was
what it
pretty
is.
faithful to the original design as well, what we ended up with.
Oh, completely.
And we didn't even utilize some of the more amazing features, like that train was fully operational and could move about, 10 feet or more?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
had a smoking chimney and everything.
Yeah, and we had a little flat train that would go around the mountaintop, move around the mountaintops, but we never got a chance to use that.
So basically, you're saying this pilot's all about missed potential? I love this show because it was the first time that I got to work with puppets where it wasn't the Muppet formula, which is very clean. And you'll look at Rochester and you'll see his eyes are going in two different directions. And I love that Greg had button eyes in the beginning of the show anyway. And I love that we didn't have to preen and primp these puppets as much as some of the Muppet characters get primped and preened.
Yeah, they were to look like they'd been around the block, and they had chocolate sauce and vodka in their fur. And that
Well,
kind of
that's
thing.
just because after work it was a lot of fun to do chocolate sauce vodka shots.
This pilot was edited several times. It was written by Steve Levitan, myself, and Spencer Shenoy, and then rewritten by our room of writers when we needed to come in and make adjustments. The introduction of Dottie, the aging up of Greg's character, which I'll refer to in other areas of this disc, and the cutting of some things like Warren's play. Originally, it was a lot more about the ensemble, and then sort of got focused on Jimmy and his relationship with his father and with Greg. And in the re-editing, we found a good pace. Originally, it was cut very frenetically, and then it got a little too slow, and when we think we found a happy medium. And editing and music became important, so this might be a good time, Howard, talk about some of the library we got for this show.
Yeah, when I first met these guys, they'd already shot 6 episodes, so I had a great opportunity to sit back and watch this just amazing characters come to life and become very real to me. So as we evolved into this, we realized we all had a shared love of vintage soul music and headed somewhat in that direction. At this stage, there was no composer on board, so before Steve Hampton and John Adair came in and did their fine composing on the show, we had to template a little bit of a sound for the show. So we initially were using a lot of Motown, cut up, pasted in the way that score would work as a sort of guide for how the show would sound.
Mm-hmm.
And it really, I think the other side to the music was that we all had a lot of fun was playing with the 80s music and the sort of some 70s punk where it flashed back with Jimmy and
Right, got some Ramones in there.
Greg's
Elvis
childhood.
Costello
And yeah. But the soul thing really just seemed to be a great feel for these characters. And
I think starting with Stevie Wonder pretty much set the tone for that.
yeah, the Living for the City song, just as I was first watching it, I just came right in my head, and it just seemed to somehow speak to Greg, to me, you know, of the young kid in the big city and, you know, making his way.
Who did our theme? Who wrote our theme music?
The theme was created, well, first of all, I mean, something probably worth speaking to is the amount of people who actually submitted themes.
Yeah,
which
we got
was
a lot of stuff.
pretty remarkable.
We got stuff from REM and They Might Be Giants.
They Might Be Giants. A lot of amazing themes, which was kind of interesting because you got that sense of how difficult it is to really write to a song into 30-second opening to a show. And eventually the evolution became this more of a traditional theme in a sense with the big band sort of sound that probably spoke more to a traditional.
Yeah, as good as the arrangement was, it kind of set us up for a kiddie show.
Yeah.
And may have been a creative mistake to do that.
Just blah, blah.
Just blah blah.
Blah, my boy, it is simple. Just blah, blah.
Just blah blah.
Look,
So this was not the IFC Blah. Brad, were you involved with the building on Blah?
Not at all.
That
was all done at Paul McAveen's
Paul
shop.
McAveen created the new Blah. That, of course, is Gay Bear, Drew Massey, in his moment of glory. Never came back, unfortunately.
Great, really. You should feel very good about what you did.
Really?
There you go. On
I
your
was
way.
always amazed that Eugene Levy's glasses cost more than about my car. He's
He was
got
very
really expensive
specific.
taste in glasses.
Every role he does, he picks a special set of glasses, and I remember him saying he wanted something obsequious.
Well, and I took that line and went out and looked for obsequious glasses. We came up with, I think, 30 pair. He didn't like any of them, so we brought him another 10, and he finally found those.
They work. Whatever the man wants, I tell you. Whatever works.
He's brilliant.
Greg here is interesting to point out that this was one of the first things we shot. His mouth isn't quite working too hot just yet. Kind of tell he's struggling there. The ears are down.
One of the most complicated hand grips, I think, for most puppets. You had, 5 different movements on that hand grip?
Yeah, going from IFC where there was no mechanics, suddenly in my left hand there was a mechanism that controlled the ears, the mouth, and eventually the blinking eyes.
Sure, I can, I can read.
Depending on what shot you look at Warren, that is a Warren from late in 2001. He's larger. His eyes are further apart.
His hat's a little darker.
That's right.
Am I auditioning?
Greg's ears just went up, and his mouth got a lot better as well, right there.
Yes.
And that's where original Warren. We had to repatch over his blinking eyes to get that shot too with the buttons. We actually had to take the blinking eye mechanism out and
by then we'd shot all those.
On top.
It was a strange decision to air the episodes out of order and also never explain the eyeballs, which could have been a hilarious episode where Sweetknuckle tells Greg that he's got to get with the times and go get some eye surgery. Jeez, a freaking Snowball song.
The eyeballs was the only criticism I got from all our music-loving friends at the record companies who helped us, and that was the only critique. Everyone loved the show so much, and people got on their high horse about that eye thing.
It was deconstructionist, and then that eventually, of course, scared everybody.
I liked him without the moving mouth, to be honest with you. I thought the IFC stuff worked so well.
Yeah, if you watch that stuff, it does work. I was on the fence about that. It was nice to have a mech because he could then sip from straws and things like that.
More.
It was good for prop business.
Straw sipping action.
Hot straw action.
He never got that action figure out.
No. Dolls were almost made, but they never quite came out. It would have been nice to have Kung Fu Grip and other grips for Warren.
I had that song in my head for like 3 weeks after we shot that.
Warren
scene.
with monkey masturbation action. And poop flinging Warren.
On the show. What you talking about, lady?
You're gonna be the newest cast member on Sweetknuckle Junction.
Congratulations, Greg.
Jim, interesting that we didn't use this set more, this boardroom scene. I think there's only a handful of episodes that we utilized it. I don't know quite why. I think it was just more interesting to see people on the set.
Yeah, moving around.
Jim, you and Ellen also did all our signage, is that correct?
Yep, all the graphics. We had a really good time doing the graphics on the show.
Lots of stuff, like in Warren's dressing room, pictures of him and Alf, and posters from his plays.
Him as Hamlet, him as Othello. Lots of puppet porn in other episodes.
Of course, gotta have
which was
puppet
tons
porn.
of fun.
Is that Seth Green?
That's TV and film Seth Green.
Wow.
How'd I miss that? When we met him, I'd never seen an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and thanks to Fox DVD, I'm now an addict, and now I get it. Now I understand why everybody freaked out when he'd walk in the room.
How do you even know Greg?
You remember the friend I called you about to come in for the office job? Well, you hired him to be the star of your show.
He rolled with every punch. This puppeteering bit.
A lot of people think he's doing the puppet because you can't see his other hand, but that's actually me. In his crotch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like, welcome to our show. I'm going to stick my elbow in your crotch so I can get a puppet out of your shirt.
Yeah, we've been in everybody's crotch.
Yeah, watching puppeteers work is pretty great that way because they're very close.
Under the sheets of Mary Lou Henner and under people's skirts. And
He's an amateur.
It really worked, though, because there was such an amazing ensemble on this show. This was one of those shows where you just love going to work because everybody's nice.
Yes, it definitely was a family. And of course, they say that the most successful shows were hell to work on. And so maybe we should have known that a cancellation was coming because we had such a great time.
No, it was still hell to work on, but everybody was nice.
But there was enthusiasm. I mean, even the Teamsters would sort of wave goodbye. Good night. See you tomorrow. That was funny.
Seth Green bought a massage for the crew one day.
That's right.
Which was pretty great.
A lot of cramped puppeteers were appreciative of that.
Mr. Bender, don't let Jimmy make you nervous. I mean, this is not a problem.
Yeah, you're right. Because here's what we're going to do. We're going to say that you had
the tone of the show changed from the very beginning all the way, all the way through it. It seems like it kept getting cleaner. The producers wanted it cleaner. I remember
Absolutely.
when we were doing Gil's office, Eugene wanted to have B exploitation movies as if he had directed those.
Yes, right.
Which was great.
Spencer Shenoy, I remember, liked that idea.
And even this apartment got cleaned up over the episodes. It started out as, once again, the apartment I lived in when I was 20. Exactly, that's what we built. And then it kept getting cleaned up.
Yeah, the overall note was that we wanted a big, happy family, which was strange, although, a lot of their family comedies do well. Although I'd say that The Simpsons and Malcolm in the Middle, those are dysfunctional families. And
right.
I don't know why we were put under tighter reins. I think there was confusion about how to market this originally.
Right.
Like, hey, this ain't your daddy's puppet show, but we want to market the kids too, that was a very broad thing, Seth, that you could tell. He's like, ugh.
He gets points, though, for working with that puppet in a sink, because Greg was made out of a goat hair, and he just smelled so bad when he got wet.
He did. Which means my arm hair smelled like that as well. We shot that 3 times, the sink scene.
The fart just kept getting better and better, too.
Yes, as our technology improved.
That's actually a difficult thing to do with a hand puppet, puppet through a sink of water. And so we took a Playtex glove and siliconed it in the sink and put a hole in for the hand to go through.
Cute sentiment, kid, but you know what? This is cable television. It ain't gonna happen.
Gil, did you... Greg is here!
I just saw Dan's head.
Whoops. Sorry, folks. Didn't have the money to take that out. Originally, Greg was very young.
I probably shouldn't have pointed that out then.
No, that's good. That's what commentary's about. You should also mention that Eugene's not wearing pants.
I don't think Sarah's wearing shoes here. She always had bunny slippers when she went on the set.
Which Greg took great offense to.
Hey, don't forget, I'm here too.
Yeah, the important thing is that Greg is here.
Hey, you know it.
So there's Greg going, hey, you know it. Hey, lady, I'm super cool and nothing gets to me, when originally a lot of this dialogue was different. And I think Greg always called Allison lady, which is very Jerry Lewis. He goes, hi, lady, like he didn't even know her name. And he was a little boy, and we sort of aged him into a teenager because they found the little kid annoying, and it was confusing for him to be so young and also be in sexual situations and stuff. Or at least that's how they felt.
You okay in there?
It's dark down here and it stinks.
Great shot. We didn't do these enough.
I love that line.
Puppet point of view shots. I think we needed a lot more of.
Greg's intro. You out. Cameras. Roll. Ready. And action.
Oh, come on.
The original ending was that Rochester, we saw him in the bar scene. Warren goes to the bar and sees Rochester, and you find out how despondent and out of work and angry Rochester is, which motivates him taking Greg hostage in the end. And Warren actually tries to talk Rochester down with dialogue from his play, which is also cut out. And then when Rochester insults the play, Warren just kind of lunges at him. And that became a wife joke, I think, is how we kept that. And also, Greg was originally motivated by Seth taunting him and treating him like a baby and daring him to do the part. And when that seemed too young, it was reshot as him getting angry.
Okay, cut.
Holy crap.
I always liked doing props for Sweetknuckle Junction because you could do them really two-dimensionally, and it was just such a fun world to play in. It was a great combination between, the really weird, real backstage world and this incredibly fun little fake kids world.
My life is sliding into a big cesspool right now, but I'm going to keep on smiling because everybody's watching.
We ended up actually doing all of these new props on Illustrator and sending it to a graphic shop, and overnight they'd mount them on Gatorboard and set them up so that you guys could make changes at 5 o'clock at night, and the next morning we'd have these props without hiring a scenic.
Oh, that's cool.
That sounds expensive.
It was actually really inexpensive.
Oh, great.
Originally, I think we had a color problem with the rabbit hole. Greg sort of blending into
Yeah, they were exactly the same color, so we darkened it up. It may even change in this pilot. Might be some of the last.
I'm Foxified.
Oh, now he's tough.
Yeah.
Call action.
The tardy shot was reshot because originally he had not become a character that we used. He was actually created for the second episode, so he was kind of wedged in there just to be part of the family. We also cut out shots of Dina, Dottie Sunshine flirting with Greg in this scene where when he does well, she's kind of winking at him like, See you after.
I loved that we didn't have enough money to actually rent as props all of these bits of studio gear, so we just kept on stealing like that boom from the audio guys, and the cameras.
Right.
One of those cameras was one of the cameras we were shooting with, and we always had to pull up the director's chair so that people had to stand up when we put them on set.
And action!
Now this was fun. Great music cue.
That's probably the most expensive pair of scissors you're ever going to see on television.
Is that right?
Well, they had to be lightweight, and you're putting them at the throat of like a $5,000 puppet, and you certainly don't want to stab, the executive producer's hand through a puppet with sharp scissors. So those are like these lightweight foam scissors.
Come on, Archie, let the kid go. He's not
This
worth
is
it.
great.
Just face
This
facts,
is me and
man.
James in the hole there. I think James worked with a stuffed bunny for much of it.
That's not what your ex-wife said.
And this is where Warren once did his speech.
Yay, puppets fighting!
Mike Mitchell
Now it starts.
directing the little action there.
I personally think puppets are best when they're fighting.
Great shot. I don't know what Warren's standing on, but he's good. He's got a little jetpack.
Yeah, he's just hanging out there.
And that Warren's a little dead, but it worked.
I heard you sent for me.
The bear.
And just the chaos.
See, now
ending.
Seth is tough too.
That's right.
Sure, this place is filled with freaks.
And Greg's got some junk in the trunk.
Yeah, he does.
And that's the pilot. This madness was a great pleasure. Thanks, you guys, for coming in.
What a joy.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Genius.
I will never forget working on this show. And in a good way.
Yeah, me too.
The satisfaction more than makes up for the pain.
Oh, you know what? Oh, hey, we got a little more. Here's the missing bar scene. I should say that we got cameos of Jeff Ross, the king of the roasts, which was great, and also David Spade, who came over from Just Shoot Me to do Steve Levitan a little favor. I remember him not knowing quite what to make of everything. He's like, should I be embarrassed to do this or not?
That's probably a good thing.
Pretty boy tossing me aside like a dirty sock.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I totally drifted off on you.